Good morning. So today I am going to be filming the most heavily requested video tutorial and probably one of the most frequently asked questions that I get on social media is my curly hair. Lots of you ask if it's natural. It's not. Naturally my hair this is actually wavy because it's been up in a bun for like 24 hours. Actually a lot straighter than this. So there's your answer. And then a lot of you ask me, how do you make it look natural? What do you use? So I will let you in on the main secrets. I'm going to take you through start to finish, step by step, exactly how I do it, because a lot of people try it just based on like step-by-step instructions that I've typed out and they don't quite get the desired or the same effect. So hopefully me actually showing you and taking you through the steps of exactly how I do it will help you a little bit more than written instruction. Without further ado, I will show you first of all the things that you actually need to have before you start trying to curl your hair. A brush to get out all of the knots. Step 2, prep, mousse. You can use this one, which is like a salon brand one, or you can get cheaper alternatives. I have actually got a cheaper one. One second. This one is like a store alternative. I think I just got this from like Tesco when I was having a bit of an emergency and I had no mousse. This one is not as good, but relatively good, and they're both Schwarzkopf. So this one is the Salon brand Silhouette, and this is their Volumaniac one, and that's like insane volume. They both make your hair hard, so that's what we need. I also love Label M extra strong mousse, but that is literally like concrete. So if you've not used it before and you're gonna buy it, I'll link all these products below. Make sure that you are prepared for how hard and sticky your hair is gonna feel, and that's exactly what we want. Is the curling wand, which is a Babyliss Pro. There are several that you can use. Lee Stafford chopsticks. This one is from like a wholesalers, like a beauty wholesalers. So you need like a trade card to buy one, but you can get a really similar one from Boots. I actually have one somewhere and it's also a Babyliss, so I will link all of those below as well. And these are like £25, like 25 quid. Step 4. No, that was step. I don't know what step I'm up to, but you need hairspray, okay? Hairspray, hairspray, hairspray. And then the final thing that you need, or one of the final things that you need, are the appropriate combs and styling tools. So a lot of people will try and brush it out with like a tail comb. All you're gonna get is frizz. Like remember your hair, if your hair's straight, you would normally do to it to get like volume in there. So you need to use a wide tooth comb, or I just use an afro comb, like this one. This one is really good. I don't know where I got it from. It was like super cheap. And this, which is a hair shark. So this is like a volume brush. You wanna make sure that you're not using this. You're using this side when your hair's curly. This is really effective for when your hair's straight or you're doing like any updos. And these brushes are literally like amazing. Me and all my friends take them in our bags on a night out, and yeah, they're great. Invest in one. I would say there are 3 steps to getting the perfect curly hair, and the most important one is the prep. Yeah, obviously curling your hair is important, otherwise it wouldn't be curly, but the prep is actually the most important thing. So to prep my hair, I make sure that it's got no knots in it first. So brush through it. You get all the knots out, because once you start putting mousse into your hair, it's then gonna become a lot harder to manage if it's already like knotty. So make sure that you brush it through, it's not knotty, and it's quite manageable before you start putting the mousse in. A little bit of advice here, if you don't like using a lot of heat on your hair, bear in mind when you're curling it, you're gonna be exposing it to a lot of heat. You want to try and maybe mousse it where you're going to bed. So just before you go to bed, put all the mousse in your hair and then just like either lightly tie it up so that it can still dry, or like leave it down if you don't mind it being a bit sticky, because it can be sticky. And then it'll dry naturally overnight, as opposed to putting the mousse on and then drying it in with a hairdryer, because obviously then you're exposing your hair to even more heat than just the curling wand, which is going to be super hot. So you want to try and minimize the damage that you're doing to your hair. Literally coat your hair. I just ran up the stairs. Fit fam! For ease of actually moussing your hair, if it's really thick like mine, separate it into 2 sections if you can be bothered. I'm usually really lazy and I'll just get loads of mousse and just whack it on. But if you want to make sure that it's evenly distributed and you've coated all of your hair, then just section it into 2 sections and make sure that it's all moussed, because there's a lot of hair here. I always forget how much hair I actually have until it comes to doing this, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of hair here. Oh shit. So you want to make sure that when you're moussing it, you're literally getting like right in at the root and also getting the ends, because when you're curling your hair, you kind of want it to like tack to the wand a little bit, as opposed to like sliding off. So the more mousse you have on, like the stickier your hair is going to be. Don't panic when your hair is like crispy. I mean, just go ham. Just literally go ham with it. You can't go wrong. Oh God. Don't apply it to your face because you don't really need it there. Okay, the bit that I always miss is like here, right underneath. So make sure that you've got there, make sure that you've got right in at the root, make sure that you've worked it all the way through, and make sure that you've got the ends. So like here, I've not really put that much on the ends, so I'm just gonna do a little bit more. And then your hands will be super sticky. But before you go and wash them, just make sure that you've kind of brushed through it, because it will already start to knot. So make sure that you're just brushing through it, and then you can see any bits that you've not moussed as well. Looks like I've just stepped out of the shower and combed through my hair, but my hair is literally coated in mousse and it's kind of tacky. So what I would do now, and what I would always advise, is try and let it dry as naturally as possible. It's like 11, so I've got things to do today. So what I am actually gonna do, I'm gonna just carry on like day-to-day things, try and let it dry while I'm at home, and then when I've got to go out this afternoon, I'll just put it into a bun and then I'll curl it later. But if you need to, and you're doing this as one straight through process, then just hairdryer it. And then when I come to curl it, if any of the bits are still like wet, sticky, not like crispy sticky, I'll just like go over it with the hairdryer and make sure that it's dry before I actually start trying to curl it. Because if you curl it and the mousse is still wet, then you'll get like a droopy curl and it just won't curl properly. So if you do start curling your hair and you get like those like droopy bits at the root, it's probably that the mousse isn't dried in properly. So you just want to make sure that the mousse is thoroughly dry before you start trying to curl your hair. So I'm going to crack on with some things for the rest of the day. Let my hair dry a little bit. I mean, it's going to get a little bit of sweat in it. I might go and actually just like scrape it up and go and train and then curl my hair after that. We are back. I have done an entire day and my hair is now what the, oh my god, it looks even worse on the camera than it does in real life. If you're doing this to your own, you will no doubt feel it. I wish you could literally feel how gross my hair feels at the moment, and my hair is normally really soft, so this feels disgusting. You want to section your hair, so if you have these, use them. If you don't, just use a bobble, it's fine, as long as you can section. Curling from the bottom, which I feel is obvious, but sometimes I'm kind of like, you know, common sense isn't all that common. So that's one bit done, that's like the top bit. And then this is still quite a chunk of hair, like, you know, when I said I have a lot of hair, I have a lot of hair. Split this into 2 more sections, just so that it's easier to curl. If you've trained your upper body, if you've worked out your arms, your back, or your shoulders, in the last couple of days, you're about to have another arm workout, and this may kill you, so be prepared. But once you've sectioned your hair, you can then section it like as you go along, but just make sure that you've got quite a small amount to start with, and you want to get right underneath so you're getting right into the base of the hair. When I curl my hair, I literally get right in at the root, like as close to the root as you possibly can, and that's what gives it that volume, because it's curled right from the root, right in there without burning your scalp, preferably. I've had quite a few accidents and near misses. In terms of section sizes, you don't want to go too thin, but you also don't want to go too thick. It's the most ridiculous way to describe it. So you want to kind of get them so they're like this thin. You always want to make sure that like you're getting the whole piece of hair around the wand, and like it's getting enough heat to the whole piece of hair. So obviously if I just tried to put this whole chunk of hair around, it would curl, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as tight. So you don't want to do like tiny sections. I used to spend so long doing like tiny, minute sections of hair, and then I realised that when I brushed it out, it didn't look any different to if I just made the sections a little bit thicker, and obviously it saves a lot of time. I have to do this when I'm curling my hair, so just bear with me. You want to kind of don't go straight in at the root. To get to the root, especially when you're doing the back of your hair, go in about a quarter of the way down the piece of hair. And then as you wrap it round, start to roll it up and in towards the nape of your neck. And make sure here, like I should really be wearing a heat-proof glove, but I just don't know where it is. So I'm just really careful. But if you have got a protective glove, then use a protective glove. Another little tip is, at the bottom, you always want to curl upwards to try and get more volume. I always curl up, if that makes sense, as opposed to down and away from the crown of your head. You always want to curl up, as that will give you more volume. That gives you an idea of like how tight it actually is. I can't wait for you to see it before I brush it out, what it actually looks like, because people are always like, oh, your hair looks nice, and I'm like, no it doesn't, don't lie to me, don't lie. If you don't get right to the end of your hair, you'll end up with like fish hooks. I think they're called that. My sister's a hairdresser, so I'm just using her jargon, I could just be making this up. If you do that, just leave them to cool down, and then at the end, you can go over them. There we go, there's a dodgy curl. So see how that's gone a little bit like fucked at the end? I'll leave that to like cool down a little bit, right to the end when I finish curling my hair, and then I'll just pull out any defect curls and go over them. Bitch, 'cause I speak what's on my mind. Yes, it's easier. It's actually worth noting at this point, you can tell I'm kind of getting fed up of curling my hair now. It's been like half an hour and my arms hurt. When you get to this point, which is like the top section, you don't just want to curl upwards anymore, you want to curl them sometimes downwards as well to again get more of like a natural effect. I mean, I just randomly do them, like there's no actual strategy. I just get a strand of hair and I'm like, oh, do I go up or do I go down with this one? If you've got bangs, so like if you've got like a fringe or bangs, that's probably like the trickiest part. So I have got like short pieces or bangs at the front of my hair. So I'm going to show you how to do them without like looking stupid, because I was always really apprehensive about having them cut in for the sake of having curly hair, because at the time I used to have my hair curly quite a lot. Oh, that just reminded me. Another little tip is slide the hair off of the wand as opposed to like unraveling it. If you unravel it, you'll loosen the curl at the root. Go right in, right in, right in, right in. Go at the end and then slide the wand out of there. Right, the final section. Literally, we have just this wad of hair to go. So because I've got short bits, what I'll do is just separate the short bits from the long bits, and I'll just get in with the last few long pieces. Again, this bit, you kind of want to go like backwards and forwards with how you curl your hair. Make sure that the sections here are relatively small so that the curls on top are defined, because it doesn't matter if you've got a few like in the middle that are a little bit looser. Right, now this is like kind of the awkward part. So the awkward part is obviously where your hair is short. So I've got like one straggly long piece here. One like Lone Ranger long piece, and literally, well, maybe like two. So I'm literally just gonna get in and curl them. So I have quite a chunk of short hair here. So what I'm gonna do is break that into probably like 4 pieces. So split it down the middle and decide what direction you want your hair to go in. So when I have it curly, I typically part it over to the right hand side. So I will start to curl it kind of in that direction. So what I'll do is I'll split this piece into 2. I will curl the bottom one upwards. Like, bear in mind it will look gross when you first do it. So there's one. Then I'm going to curl this one and I'm going to curl that down, but in that direction. So make sure you wind it round, get right in, and be really, really careful not to burn yourself in these bits. The cramp in my shoulder right now. No pain, no gain. So we have like one. This never happens. I have like one defective curl. Just go in like middle of the curl and curl up the same way that I would have curled it when I curled it, because at the root it's fine. It's just the end where it's a little bit like a bit of a fish hook. Fixed. Done. This is kind of what your hair should now look like. Do not be alarmed if you look like a poodle or a mop. this is what my hair looks like before I actually brush it. It doesn't look like this until I do the next step. So you want a hairspray over it. Get yourself a decent hairspray. I do really love this one. I love Tresemme, and then this one, which is a little bit more expensive. You want one that's definitely a good strength, but one that doesn't go white, because you are going to brush it and do a little bit of styling with it. So if you use a hairspray that goes white, like breaks down and it goes into like fine white particles, and it's going to look a little bit weird when you've actually brushed your hair out. Don't mind me, just sipping my tea. Bit cold. So I'm going to show you now how I brush them out to look like they do on my Instagram. So I curled it, I sprayed it with hairspray, I sprayed it as I went along as well. This is like the second most important step of how not to look like a poodle. You want to just get in at the root all over with your afro comb first, or with your fingers, yeah? Whatever you feel more comfortable with. I mean, it's quite daunting to just go in to all of your hard work and attack it with an afro comb, but you just want to loosen it off at the root a little bit so that you can kind of get in there to give it volume. Oh god, this is very big today. Right underneath it, lift it up if you need to, go underneath, just get stuck right in with your comb and try and leave the top until the end. Kind of like brushed it out a little bit now, so you can already see it's already dropped a little bit. Keep your wand handy just in case you need to go over any of the bits. I'm going to use my hair shark for some of this, just to make sure I've got the volume. So you want to kind of be a little bit more precise with this, and then we can go wild with the afro comb again. So get right in at the root and go low down with it so you don't have the frizz on the top. Be careful if you are using one of these, because obviously this side is bristly. You don't want it to get stuck in your curl because you'll end up with frizz. Also bear in mind that when you are combing it, it will go a little bit frizzy, but then when you hairspray it, it won't look like that anymore. You can play around with the curls, you can just separate them with your hands, you can do whatever you want. You just kind of want to get right in so that it's not as tight as it was. So I'd literally say just go wild, like with your hands and with your wild tooth comb, but don't go too wild on the top at the root, because what you'll actually end up with then is just a load of frizz. You're lifting it up and you're trying to go for the bits underneath, and make sure that you don't miss the back, because you don't want a load of like volume on top and then have nothing at the back. And if bits do look flat, just get your comb, stick it right in and just lift. Make sure that when you're doing the front, you're kind of working it so that it frames your face. So when I'm getting in here, I'm getting right in. I'm either using that or I can use my hair shark and get right in just to give it that lift. You don't want to brush this bit out too much. Final step, grab yourself some hairspray, tip your hair upside down. You want to get right in and underneath, and when you are hairspraying, make sure you hairspray and just scrunch it up just so that you're keeping the curl, because what you've probably done when you brush some of them is like brush them down and drag the curl out very slightly. These are just tips and things that I've learned like along the years of doing this to my hair, and that is pretty much it. To give you an idea of how long it takes, it will probably take you, depending on how, it literally depends on how thick and how much hair you have. So my hair is like very thick, and it takes me between 40 and 55 minutes, depending on how much I've like dried the mousse into my hair and how well my hair is behaving on that day. It used to take me like well over an hour, so this is with practice. I've kind of nailed the prep steps now, and that's definitely the way to do it, unless you want to be sat here for like 2 hours styling your hair, and ain't nobody got time for that. I will give you a quick rundown of all of the tools that I've used. Again, just as a reminder, I'll link them all in the description box below so that you can buy them. Voila! I hope this helps all of the people who have asked me for such a long time to film this video and show you how I actually achieve the perfect curl. And that is it. And now I feel like I need to go and have a nap or a lie down or an early night, because that in itself was like a workout after a workout. I hope you're all very grateful. My arms hurt. My shoulders are burning, and I have nowhere to go with my curly hair. I'm actually going to bed.